In Survivor 50, Episode 2, Q says, so will this narrative of a Vatu tribe member winning the season come true? Well, as North, your local edit analysis, I am back to sift through all of the Edgic of Episode 2 in order to predict what I think is going to be the main storylines of the season and create a contender ranking from most to least likely to win the season just based on what I have found in the edit so far. Also, I want to say one more time, please do not leave any spoilers in the comments below or anywhere near here. I don't want to hear it. If you even know anything about spoilers, I would really appreciate it if you just leave a like and then maybe not comment at all. It would really be appreciated. Although I do want comments and likes, it's really helpful. But if you know spoilers, I don't want any sort of tainted discussion here on the channel about the Edgic of the season. So I would really appreciate it. But first, if you don't know how Edgic works, basically I am here to explain it to you right now. We create an Edgic chart that looks a little bit like this, where we create a spreadsheet of a rating for every single character in the episode and give them a very specific rating based on a few different criteria of how they were edited in that episode based on my personal analysis of the episode. There are 3 different parts to an Edgic rating. The first part is the type of edit, and there are 4 different types of Edgic edits. The first is UTR, which stands for under the radar, which means you didn't really get much from that person in the episode. The second is MOR, which stands for middle of the road, which means you got a little bit from them, but they weren't super fleshed out as a character. The third is CP, which stands for complex personality, which means you got a good amount of content from them and they were pretty fleshed out as a character. And the fourth is OTT, which means you saw a abundant amount of them to the point that they were kind of an oversaturated, characterized version of themselves. The second part of an Edgic rating, which is the extra letter tacked on to those letters, is the tone of the person's edit. They can either be a P for a positive leaning tone, an N for a negative leaning tone, an M for a mixed tone, which means a little bit of both were in the episode, or there can be just no extra letter tacked on at all for a neutral tone, no tone at all, one way or the other. Or, not or, just and, the final part of the Edgic rating is the number at the end of the rating, which basically is just a visibility scale from 1 to 5. 1 meaning they barely got any screen time in the episode. 5 meaning they got a lot of screen time. And so, with all that said, let's talk about the episode. I thought it was pretty good. I definitely enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun watching the episode. There's some really fun scenes in here. I loved some of the really funny character moments. Christian pooping his pants that's an all-time iconic scene. Just, that is hilarious. Coach spasming in the water while he's trying to fish. Just an absolute classic Coach scene. I couldn't have asked for a scene that good from Coach in 2026. Just unbelievable. There's a lot of good stuff going on in this episode. I love the Q moments of, they did the searching Aubry's bag, and also where Q was talking about how lazy Angelina and Rizo are. That was super fun. Just some really great moments from some great characters in this episode that I enjoyed. Now, from a strategy perspective, I am sad to lose Savannah in this episode. I'm pretty devastated. Maybe not devastated because I kind of expected it. I knew that she would definitely be in trouble coming into this season, but I really love Savannah. I think she is such a fascinating and compelling character on the show, and I don't really agree with the move to take her out here. I just think that it felt very premeditated based on just what they perceived of Savannah going into the season, and that she was a winner and they didn't get to see her play. And that's pretty much the only reasons to vote her out here. But from an actual strategic perspective, based on where they are in the game, on how the chips are falling, I really don't think it was a good move. I think for that alliance, or that kind of nerd alliance of Christian, Emily, and Rick, Savannah seemed to be like a very willing and open fourth to that alliance. I think it would have been very easy to scoop her up and pull her in. She doesn't have anyone else. And she seemed to want to be doing what they were doing. Emily very vocally wanted to vote out Ozzy, and so did Savannah. She was fine with that. She voted for Ozzy. So I don't really understand the merit in getting rid of her, especially from the core group here. When you have this Ozzy and Cirie connection, you know that's a problem on the tribe. You know you got to break that up at some point, and it just is going to get harder and harder. And if you want Ozzy gone, it's not that, this is the time to clip either Ozzy or Cirie. They both gotta go, right? And Joe, clearly, there's some crazy stuff going on with Joe in this episode and tension with Rick. And I kind of think if there's like this, I don't know if I would call Joe a bad egg, but like, like a kind of a bad egg that's like not, my thing is all going crazy. There we go. Like, I kind of think if you have like a bad egg, in a sense that like isn't really fitting in, not fitting with the dynamics of the tribe you want, it's probably just better to call him out. Savannah wasn't really causing problems, and I mean the only thing Savannah did wrong is I guess not tell them about her advantage, which I think she probably should have done. I think that was a mistake, but was that enough of a mistake to want to get rid of her over Joe and Ozzy and Cirie, who are all much bigger threats and bigger problems to the tribe dynamic? Now, yes, are they saved a little bit by there being a tribe swap coming up? Sure, but they didn't know that, right? When they made that vote, they didn't know that they wouldn't have to go to tribal again as a tribe. And I just think that if they did go to tribal again, it's pretty bad. And now having to tribe swap, it's in a sense even worse, because now you're unleashing Cirie and Ozzy free up on the game outside of your control. Two very dangerous players that you know are a problem. It seemed like they kind of scooped up Cirie as like the fourth to that nerd alliance. Savannah even kind of said so in her exit press. But I don't get that. Why? Why are you letting Cirie do her thing? Like, you know she's connected to Ozzy. You already know that. They're talking about it on the show. You know that's a problem. So why are you letting them both be in the game? And why are you letting Cirie as a fourth in your alliance? You know Cirie. She's played a bajillion times. And, personally, I would have preferred to see more of this new iconic character of Savannah in the game than like Ozzy and Cirie, who we've seen a million times. The shtick is old at this point. For Cirie, it's almost just too easy. Like, it's just not even, she just like has to lift her pinky finger and like magic gets done. And I just feel like everyone's falling into her whim. And I'm just a little disappointed that I feel like, though, that especially that nerd alliance really, I thought they would be more aware than that, than to kind of let Cirie just completely control them and then vote out Savannah, who really was no threat to them and would have been a very useful ally. When they could have voted out Ozzy or Joe or Cirie, all I think would have been better options. That's my take on it, but that's just me. So let's talk about our fallen person here, Savannah, the winner of Survivor 49. 2 winners gone already. Kyle, no fault of his own, but Savannah also kind of no fault of her own. Feel like they shouldn't have voted her out. I mean, a little bit fault of her own, but still. Like I said, I love Savannah. I am so sad to see her go. I just think that she is such an absolute force of personality on this show. And I think especially as a winner, to be such a fascinating character. She is so like unbridled, unrestrained. She's just unafraid to go out there and attack the game and just say things to people that a lot of people maybe wouldn't be willing to say, and just like hash things out and like just grab the show in her palm and do whatever she can. She is just such a fun personality. She's so fun and confessional as well. And I think that she was, as a winner, that's kind of rare to have such a really forceful out there personality. You know, normally you would think like the people that are, you know, maybe a little bit more level headed, a little bit more of like the quote unquote normal people are often the ones that kind of win the game. You know, I think like Tony has always kind of been like that big example of like a really big character actually being able to, you know, win Survivor. And I think that Savannah is like, maybe, I'm not saying that Savannah's as good of a player as Tony, but I think she is a good example of another person that's just such a big character and such good TV that was able to win the game. And I enjoyed that so much. I loved her on her season. I loved her on this season. Every passing day, I appreciate the entertainment that Savannah brought to Survivor more and more. I'm so happy we got to see her not once, but twice in such a short amount of time. And I really hope that she gets another chance. I hope they give her that third season. That Tony Vlachos season 3 is coming for Savannah Louie. I feel it in my bones. And even if that's not coming soon, Savannah, do something else, okay? Go on the challenge. Go on House of Villains. There are other options. I hope this isn't the last we get to hear from you, because you're a star. And maybe not everyone appreciates you, but I really do. I think she was phenomenal on this show. So, as for her Edgic rating in this episode, I mean, she honestly wasn't in the episode a whole lot. If we take a look at the confessional chart here, provided by Just Strategic on Twitter, she gets 2 confessionals, which isn't a ton. She does get that big speech at Tribal, which kind of bumps her up a little bit for me to maybe be a complex personality, I think. I think she would have maybe been middle of the road otherwise, but I think that was enough. I also changed some of the Edgic ratings from last week to some different ratings. Apparently, I bumped down Savannah in the middle of the road, which I'm a little bit surprised by. But I'll give her like a complex personality. I kind of want to give a complex personality 3. Honestly, it could be a complex personality 2. However, I mean, we'll see this with everyone else. I think that Sela tribe gets so much complex content in this episode that they're definitely, on average, going to get better ratings than everyone else. So she's borderline middle of the road, borderline a 2. I don't really think there was much tone there at all this episode. But I don't know. Complex personality 3. It's like the simplest, easiest thing to give her. Maybe it's not right, but I do think like that her stuff at Tribal bumps her up a little bit for me. So, love you, Savannah. Godspeed, as Christian Hubecki would say. And I hope we get to see more of Savannah Louie in the future. So, now we are going to go up to the top of the list and go down in order of original appearance and give each person an Edgic rating based on how they were in the episode. And we are starting at the top of the list with Colby Donaldson. Lesser episode for Colby than week 1. We take a look at the Edgic chart. Colby gets, where is he at? He gets only 1 confessional in this episode, which isn't great. I probably would give him a middle of the road because he definitely wasn't absent. We did get to see him in some camp scenes. We saw him in that scene with like Rizo and Q at the beginning. And he was involved in like the bag search and whatnot. He also got some kind of positive stuff at the challenge. Like I felt like he saw him really lift that snake and yank it. And Rizo even was like, "Hey, nice job, man. That was sick." So I'm not sure it's enough to give him any tone or any which way. I think just like a middle of the road 2, maybe for Colby. It could maybe be a 3. I'll give it a 2 for now, but it could get bumped up based on the other ratings if I feel like I want to change it. Like I said, I did change quite a few ratings that you can take a look at compared to what I made last week. So if you ever have any disagreements with some of my Edgic ratings, as long as it's spoiler free, I would love to hear it because, I'm not like end all be all on these decisions. I would love to get advice from people if they have ideas. So that's what I'm going with Colby in this episode. Stephenie, goose egg, 0 confessionals. Don't love that. Never loved that for someone. Stephenie was barely in this episode. I mean, we saw her talking to to Aubry on the beach. But other than that, like, that was like not even like a scene. That was just like a insert clip. Stephenie really got like nothing. I definitely think this was an under the radar episode for Stephenie. I kind of want to give it a 1. I think it could be a 2. But I don't really know where the content is other than the challenge, really. Like, I mean, it's not horrible, but it's not good. I mean, I don't really remember any scenes from Stephenie at all. So, yeah, big dip off there for Stephenie. Cirie got a lot, right? Cirie, definitely big narrator on her tribe. She gets 5 confessionals an episode. Bump up for Cirie from episode 1. Definitely complex personality here. I'm not sure there was tone to it, really. I don't think we heard people being like, I love Cirie or I hate Cirie. There was a little bit of positivity, I guess, and then she was like, oh, I finally got an advantage. And I mean, Ozzy was like, oh, Cirie, she's really good at this. But other than that, it was pretty like a standard, straightforward episode for Cirie. I think within complex personality, I think I want to give it a 3. I don't think that she was in it like a ton, even though she does get some of the most confessionals of the group. It didn't feel like super oversaturated. Yeah, I'm thinking a 3. I mean, maybe someone would say it should be a 4, but I don't think I would go that far. Ozzy definitely gets a much lesser episode than he got last week, of course. Kind of a nice cool down episode for Ozzy. He talks about how he has his idol and his underwear, and he talks about how Cirie is a really useful ally. And that's it. He only gets 2 confessionals in this episode, on the lower end of things. Probably the least presence of the Sela tribe in this episode was Ozzy, which, again, is strange, I guess, because he was so overbearing in the premiere. But that's kind of a good sign for him in a lot of ways, that it kind of cools down. He got so much in the premiere. Now it's a little bit lesser, which I think maybe bodes well for Ozzy's longevity, rather than like blowing up really soon. Can't guarantee it. He could blow up soon still, but I don't think it was a negative episode, but it was kind of fine. I think it was toneless. I think I'm going to give it a middle of the road 2, honestly. Definitely the least of his tribe. He got like a mat chat, I guess, with Coach a little bit. That was a moment. So, I mean, that was something. And there was like a little bit of like him trying to make that like alliance with Savannah and Rick. You can maybe give it a 3. I definitely think it's a toneless middle of the road, though. I mean, it's definitely less than Cirie. I gave Cirie a 3, so I'll give Ozzy a middle of the road, too. Yeah, and that makes me more positive in the Colby, too, I think, as well. Coach, yeah, I mean, listen, we're sticking with that over-the-top mixed rating, which is exactly where we want Coach to be. Probably give him a 3, though, because he gets a little bit less. We take a look at Coach's confessional count. He gets 2 confessionals. Not a ton, but I still think he was enough of a presence of an episode to give him a 3 rating. Yeah, I mean, obviously, he has the big mat chat blow up with Ozzy, and then also the whole cramping his leg scene, and everyone's talking about Coach and how he's like, he's so ridiculous, but also like he's so genuine, and he does get a lot of positive stuff. Like, Jonathan says he has a warmth to him, which is why everyone wants to work with him. But then there's also definitely some negative connotations, especially with the stuff with Ozzy, and it's just it's all over the place, I think, with Coach, which is definitely right where we want Coach to be. So gotta give him an over-the-top mixed 3 in this episode. Aubry, big improvement for Aubry. She gets a pretty big episode. She gets a flashback sequence of her crashing out in Ko Wrong. Yeah, I mean, listen, I try to not, I don't like to be mean, but I also like to give my opinion, even though this is an analytical show. I'm a very invested guy in these shows. I get very invested and I have very strong opinions. And I'm not trying to throw smoke, and this has nothing to do with like people in real life. All these people are lovely, I always say. But this is just how, like, someone's got to be people I root for, and some of the people got to be people I don't root for. That's just an important way of how I view show. And to me, Aubry, she just seems so miserable out there. And she always has. She always has seemed miserable, whether she is or isn't. And I don't mean miserable as like, oh, she's a pathetic person. Miserable, and that she just doesn't feel like she's having any fun. And this is how I felt every season of Aubry. I actually think the season she was having the most fun was Game Changers, which is why that's my favorite version of Aubry. But in every other season, including this one, she just seems like it's just such a burden for her to be playing Survivor. At least that's how it comes across on the show. And that's just not very fun to me to watch. I've just never really I've never really got the appeal of Aubry, because she's just, like, her edit, at least, is just such, like, that of, like, kind of I don't know if Debbie Downer is the right word, just someone that, like, is not having fun, and I don't know. It's a strange casting decision on this season. Doesn't really feel like she's coming in with like that invigorated life for the game that maybe some of these other multi-time players are. Seems like she's seems like she's even more burnt out than she was before on Survivor. Maybe it'll pick up for her, but definitely a strange episode for her. I think I might give her the same rating as Coach, which is crazy. I think it's kind of over the top. She got a lot of stuff in the flashback and kind of talking about how she crashes out and isn't good at controlling her energy, but then she like gets the idol. It was very big scenes. I definitely think mixed tone, because there were some kind of positive swells, but also a lot of like negativity. She's clearly on the outs, and she's clearly not having a very good time, which are not great connotations. I don't think it was enough to go to a 4. If we take a look at the confessional charts, she gets 4 confessionals, which is pretty good, but I don't think it was quite enough to maybe give her 4 compared to like some of the people on like the Kahlo tribe. Or not the Kahlo tribe, on the Sela tribe. But she definitely was a bigger part of the episode for sure. So, yeah, honestly, shockingly over the top mixed 3 for Aubry. Chrissy, not a good episode for Chrissy. Chrissy also one of the many devastated people of the 0 confessional edit this episode. Not so good. Also very negative. It's either a middle of the road negative or an under the radar negative. 0 confessionals is pretty bad. I mean, like, the middle of the road is only coming from the fact that there was multiple people talking about her, but I don't think we really got to hear her speak really at all, other than maybe she being like, "Hey coach, you want some help?" And like, that was maybe the only line. Other than that, we didn't see her. It was just a montage of clips of her and people saying how she's rubbing people the wrong way and they want her out. So I think I'm going to give her an under the radar negative, but I'll give it a 2. Okay. She got decent enough, was on the screen a little bit more maybe, but yeah, definitely not a great edit here for Chrissy. Christian, big episode here for Christian. Kind of even bigger than the premiere, I think. He got a ton of content. He gets the most confessionals of the episode. We take a look at here at 10 confessionals, which is a pretty significant jump. I mean, Rick has 6, who has the second most in the episode. So, I mean, Christian is getting a ton of content here. He gets the poop in the pants scene. He gets a ton of strategy. It is borderline over the top, but honestly, I kind of feel like this episode wasn't all that different to Ozzy's episode 1, although with much less negative connotation to it. The thing I'm kind of deciding is if it is a positive tone or not. It does kind of feel that way, but I think that's kind of just how Christian is. I don't know if it's quite positive tone. I kind of think I want to just give him a complex personality 5. It's either a positive or a neutral. I don't want to overuse tone. Someone said I used a little too much tone last week. I do agree. I don't disagree with that. So yeah, I think just a complex personality 5. A bit. I mean, especially like for, obviously this was a much shorter episode than last week's episode. So for the length of the episode, Christian got so much here. It just makes sense to me. Angelina. Oh boy. I mean, we are in the Chrissy realm here. Angelina also 0 confessionals this episode. And the only piece we saw Angelina the whole time was one segment where Q says Angelina just stands there and is lazy and doesn't do anything. That's it. That's the only bit of Angelina. I feel really bad. I like Angelina. I think she's very funny, but man, she is not getting a lot in this edit. And yeah, I think I have to give her an under the radar -1. Like 0 confessionals. Again, I'm not even sure if she said a word in the episode. You could argue she didn't. I don't remember for sure. I think maybe like a couple words in that montage, but not much. And it was definitely negative. This is, I mean, if you want to say it's a 2, it's a 2. But I mean, it was so little. And that scene of the negativeness was just like so brief. It's kind of, I kind of love giving someone that rating because that is not not a rating you would expect very often. So, yeah, under the radar, -1 for Angelina. Woof. Mike White. Mike gets 1 confessional. Yeah, 1 confessional in this episode. Just kind of talking about Coach and how Coach came in with the cramp and it was funny or something like that. Probably just give him a neutral, middle of the road 2, I guess. Yeah, nothing too crazy here, but just enough content for Mike. Rick Devens. Rick Devens, like I said, second most of the episode, 6 confessionals. Rick's kind of all over the place this episode. I'm not sure what to make of like the tone of Rick's edit this time, because it's kind of got tone to it, but like kind of not. Like it's kind of, it felt like it wanted you to take his side, but wasn't totally positive about it. Like not like, it just wasn't like, he wasn't clearly the good guy, but he was clearly like the side the edit wanted you to be on over Joe, I guess. And it was a little bit over the top, but I don't think it's quite enough to give him over the top. I'd probably give him, I think I give him a complex personality 4, honestly. Maybe that's like a cheap way out, but I don't really feel too strongly about giving him anything different, honestly. So, complex personality 4 for Devens. Jonathan Young. Pretty good episode for Jonathan. Jonathan gets 3 confessionals, the most of the Kahlo tribe. I mean, he talks about his strategy again, like we heard from the first episode. He talks about how coaches is number one. He talks about how he likes going out and fishing and a whole bunch of stuff. I definitely think this was a complex episode for Jonathan. I ended up changing his rating to an over-the-top positive last week, which I was kind of borderline giving him. I think that's probably a more appropriate rating. This feels much more like the complex rating I was going to give him last week. Although I'm not sure it's as positive. It feels just kind of neutral. I think maybe just like a complex personality 3 on Jonathan. Nothing too nuts, but just pretty solid episode. You could even argue maybe positive rating. I'm not giving a lot of positive ratings this episode, but yeah, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. Emily Flippin, financial analyst. She gets only 2 confessionals, which is kind of surprising. Again, I mean, we definitely get some insight into her strategy. We know she wants Ozzy out, and she's like trying to figure out how to position the tribe because like she wants Ozzy out, but she can't quite get it done, and she kind of is like weighing the options. I mean, didn't stand out too much. I think you could argue this was a middle of the road episode for Emily. I just think we got so much from that tribe in general. I kind of want to give it a complex personality. I think I honestly might give it like oops. How did that happen? I think I might give it a complex personality 2. Right? I mean, she doesn't get like a ton here. I don't know. I think it's still a 3, especially compared to most of the people on the other tribes. I remember much more Emily here than I do on any of the tribes that won. So, like tribal bias is still, I mean, it's real. It's not like I'm favoring because of it. That's just how it is. So, yeah, complex personality 3, I think, for Emily. Sure, why not? It does kind of make me want to bump up Cirie maybe to a 4. Yeah, I think maybe I'll bump Cirie up to a 4. Why not? She definitely was more than some of these people I'm giving 3s, I feel like. So, why not? D. Definitely in the middle of the road here for D. She gets a little confessional talking about how old Coach is. Probably not quite and under the radar because I do like remember her, I guess, but it's borderline under the radar. It's pretty close. Don't think there's tone here for D. She might talk a little bit about Chrissy and Chrissy being like kind of annoying too. I feel like she was probably one of the people that talked about that. So yeah, I think maybe just like a middle of the road toneless 2 here for D. Nothing too crazy. Tiffany gave her an under the radar last time. I'm going to give it to her again. I mean, Tiffany got like nothing in this episode. In fact, I hadn't considered this until just this moment. But I just had a light bulb. Do I give Tiffany Nicole Irvin the dreaded invisible rating? Now, this is a rating that I don't normally use all that much. That is only used when someone is just literally not in the episode at all. And I don't think Tiffany was in this episode at all. I don't remember anyone talking about Tiffany. I don't remember Tiffany saying anything. At best, she was like sitting at camp when it showed the camp, Like, she wasn't, like, not on the screen, but she didn't have a segment at all, I don't think. I think I might give her an invisible, which is just a flat-out invisible. You just weren't there at all. That's how that rating works. It kind of goes beyond all the other rules, I guess. I mean, it could maybe be an under the radar 1, but even when I compared like the Angelina who I gave an under the radar 1, at least I remember a segment of Angelina and Stephenie, right, who both got under the radar once. Maybe I'm being too extreme here, but Stephenie got less than them, so I think it's an invisible for Tiffany, unfortunately. For Q, also, I don't know if I said Tiffany, 0 confessionals, of course. The least confessionals of anyone on the season so far. Q gets 4 confessionals this episode. Pretty good. I feel like he's in it quite a bit. Q, I mean, we hear him talking quite a bit about people being lazy at camp. We hear him talking about, he kind of gets to narrate the searching through the bag segment. And it is kind of middle of the road. I don't want to be too overzealous with my complex personalities, but the big thing is Q's segment at the beginning of the episode where he talks about how he wants one of the Vatu tribe members to win because that's what Kyle told them to do, right? And that felt like a significant scene. Obviously, that was a big thesis of the episode, which we'll talk about in the Contender Rankings. But overall, that felt like a big... That is important. That's a narrative. Q's got a narrative here. I don't know. I'll give him a complex personality. I love Q. I don't know. Complex personality 4. Oh, actually, no. You know what it is? It's probably an OTT. Let's give him an OTT for 4. He's in the episode quite a bit. He's such a character. He's such a card. It's so many character moments. Even the moment that I was gonna give him a complex personality, where he talks about Kyle, was like, whoa! It was like him laying on the beach and it was swirling around him from the sky, and it was like, whoa, what the hell's going on right now? Even that was over the top for some reason, which I don't even know why it was. Yeah, I'll give him the OTT 4. Let me know if you disagree with that. That Q is definitely a rating I'm on the fence on this episode, but I think that's kind of a fun rating to give him. Charlie is interesting. We get a little bit more from Charlie about how he wants to like distance himself from Chrissy, because Chrissy's kind of a sinking ship. That's kind of all we get from him. He gets 1 confessional like I expected. I mean, it definitely is insight to him, but I just think there's so little of it. I don't know if it's quite enough to give a complex personality. So I think I'll give a middle of the road 2 to Charlie. There's no tone there. It wasn't a very big segment. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking for Charlie. Genevieve gets 3 confessionals. Gets this great segment at the beginning of the episode, talking about losing Kyle and how she's made connections with people on the island and how emotional it is for her. Great Genevieve content, honestly, so far. And what a great evolution from where she was on Survivor 47. I think that she is getting one of the best like pickup where we left off storylines of anyone from their previous season. She's just getting such a good edit, really good quality here. Maybe not enough to give her a 4, but I would say complex personality, borderline complex personality positive, just because of like her emotional stuff and kind of her talk about how she's connecting with people. I kind of think, I haven't given anyone a positive rating so far. I kind of think Genevieve had the most like positive episode. I mean, like, Christian and Devens are probably... Not Devens. Devens was not positive. It was mixed at best. Christian's maybe the other one that you could give a positive to. I think I'm going to give Genevieve a complex personality positive 3. That's kind of how I'm feeling on Genevieve in this episode. She doesn't get a ton after that opening segment, but we definitely do hear from her a few times. Yeah, good stuff here from Genevieve. For Kamilla, not much for Kamilla. She gets obviously the Matt chat where she talks about how she's sad to lose Kyle. But that's kind of it. I don't think she gets 0 confessionals otherwise. A lot of 0 confessional lists this episode. It's definitely under the radar. I guess it's kind of like a question of, is it just a flat under the radar and under the radar positive? I kind of love the like under the radar tones I'm giving this episode. Like, it's kind of fun. Like, if I give Angelina an under the radar negative 1, F it. Let's give Kamilla an under the radar positive 1. That's kind of funny to me. I kind of, I don't know. Maybe this is just a bit at this point of these ratings, but that's just kind of fun to spice things up. Yeah. It's not a rating you see very often, so why not? Joe. This is pretty easy. Definitely an over-the-top negative episode for Joe. He gets 5 confessionals, which is definitely on the upper end of the episode. I mean, it's maybe over-the-top mixed because, you know, we do hear people saying that they still really like Joe as a person. But I think the overall feeling of the episode for Joe was negative, even though there was still cracks of positivity there. And I do think, after hearing Savannah's exit press, that Joe was maybe shielded a little bit this episode, honestly. Seems like maybe that blow up with Rick was even more negative and even crazier than we saw. So maybe that's kind of a good sign for Joe a little bit. But definitely the feeling was definitely over the top negative. Probably give it over the top negative 4. He got quite a bit of content, a lot of stuff here. I mean, what a surprising rating here for Joe. But yeah, I mean, clearly I think that Joe was kind of the bad guy in the scuff with Rick, which I'm going to, like, you know, voice my opinion here. I can't believe that, I can't believe is maybe not the right way to say it, but I feel like Joe was right. I think that maybe he handled it poorly. And I get that. And obviously the edit was, edit was obviously making out Joe to be in the wrong more so, which I think is a very big plus for Rick. But I just think that, like, Rick clearly was going behind Joe's back, was lying directly to his face. Joe accurately sussed out that he was lying and was like, what the hell? Why? I thought we were cool. Why are you lying to me? And I don't know why Rick was lying to him. I think Rick handled it horribly. I don't know why he lied in the first place. And B, the way he lied was so bad. Like, honestly, Joe in this episode kind of reminded me a little bit of what I feel like we loved about Savannah in Survivor 49. Like, he was just not afraid to go up and confront someone and be like, hey, who are you voting for? What's going on? Why are you lying to me? Quit playing in my face. Shoot me straight here, right? That's what was, you know, that was real good with Savannah, and I feel like that's kind of what Joe was doing here. And I think that Rick, I feel like it was so easy to just go up to Joe and be like, Ozzy proposed an alliance of me, you, Savannah, and Ozzy. But I don't really want to be in an alliance with Ozzy. I'm not really feeling that. What do you think? Bam. That's all it is. That's all you have to say. If you don't like the alliance, you can still tell Joe about it, but then say, I don't know if we want to include Ozzy in the alliance. That's all it is. It's that easy. And Joe will accept that, and I think he'll be cool with that. And then it can die and you can hash it out. I just think it was such a weird lie. And I think that Joe was right to be paranoid about it. And also, I will say, obviously, I'm a Joe fan, but for the people, if you're like rooting against Joe, that's fine. You can root against Joe. He cannot be your cup of tea, but I don't want to hear the boring arguments anymore. Okay, okay. Joe he brings a unique dynamic to the show that other people aren't bringing. People aren't bringing that type of drama. I liked it. It was pretty good. I would have rather seen Joe go than Savannah. I think he maybe deserved it a little bit more. I would have rather seen Ozzy go than either of them. But, I think that I would have preferred Joe and Savannah, who are these kind of new legends. Also, I'll say, we got it again in this episode, his last episode, when like Joe and Savannah sat down that log to talk shop together. I just fanboyed out a little bit every time. I don't know. There's just something about them that that was just an interaction I really loved. I really enjoyed that duo for the little bit we got to have them. And I wish they would have just voted out Ozzy and Cirie because I'm sick of them. I'm over them. They've played a million times. Joe and Savannah are new era legends and deserve better than this. Hot take alert. Rizo as the last one to give a rating to. Rizo shockingly only gets 2 confessionals, but he gets a lot in the episode. I mean, it is borderline over the top, but I've already given 4 over the top ratings. So I think I'm going to give him a complex personality mixed in this episode. Probably a 3. Honestly, it could even be a 4. It felt like pretty significant. I mean, the thing with Rizo, in this episode and the last episode, is that his confessionals are really good. And he's like, I think I'm going to have a really long stay in this game. I'm working my position. And he seems to be pretty aware of what's going on as well, which is good for him. He's like, yeah, I think that I came in a little too hot and I was rubbing people the wrong way, but I'm trying to cool it down. I'm integrating myself better, and I think I'm working my way back in the ranks of this tribe, which seems to be what's happening. So it's really great on Rizo to recognize that. But then every time other people talk about Rizo, it's like, we hate Rizo. He's so annoying and lazy. He's got a lot of positive content as well, but yeah, just like crazy. I mean, this is like Rizo 2 episodes in a row has had just the most mixed tone edit possible. Such high highs and such low lows. It's kind of astonishing. Really, he's going to be someone to look out for, I think, in this season. What a strange journey he's been going on so far. So yeah, those are the Edgic ratings for episode 2, which means that we can move on to the Contender Rankings for the episode, moving forward in the season. Now, I want to make this clear, because I think some people have been confused. This is not based on what I predict their placement is going to be, right? If I put someone at number 21, that doesn't mean I think they're the next voted out. I just think that they are the least likely to win the season. This is only ranking their chances to win the season based on what the edit is telling us, not based on strategy or what type of player they are or any of that type of stuff. And I mean, if obviously you can factor that in if you want, but I'm just kind of trying to base on how the season is edited, who is most likely to win. That's what this is about. So, jumping into it, I feel like I was ahead of the curve here. Well, first I'll say Savannah falls down. I gave her 13 last time. Kind of middle of the pack. I didn't think it was super likely she was going to win a second time. I think she had a fine edit. Again, I enjoyed Savannah this season. Not too much more to say. But I think I was ahead of the curve in putting Angelina in last place. Because, man, what a terrible episode of Angelina. Just terrible. Under the radar, -1. I mean, that's just the worst rating you could get, man. How bad. So bad. 0 confessionals. The goose egg. You hate to see it. Goose eggs are typically kind of a death sentence, in my opinion. Even people with the strongest edits, if you get a goose egg, it's pretty bad in the hour and a half era. It was the big killer for Joe for a lot of people that I kind of overlooked because Joe's edit was so good in 48. But that he had that one goose egg in episode 5, and it was just it killed him, right? He wasn't going to win with that goose egg, and he didn't. And I think that, this season is harder to predict, but I need to go off of something, and I think it's killing Angelina as of right now. Which is also I'm bringing down Chrissy, of course, to second last. A goose egg episode. Also, I gave her an under the radar negative. Really bad episode for Chrissy. Just sets up a lot of reasons why she would probably be getting voted out soon, much like Angelina. No strategy from her at all. Also, I think, even though Angelina's last with my overall, I am up on Vatu because of this narrative of a Vatu tribe winner. I think overall their averages move up. And overall I can never remember the name, Kalo tribe is down because I think that in Edgic there is a common term called complex what's it called? Complex tribe theory. I think that's what it's called. I'm getting overzealous with myself. Complex tribe theory, which is basically like looking at how detailed is the tribe overall, because usually the winner is going to come from a tribe that just has more detailed relationships and whatnot in it in the edit. Now, we have learned in recent years that the winner might not necessarily come from the most complex tribe, but it's probably not coming from the least complex tribe, right? This was obviously a death sentence last season with Hina in Survivor 49. They had no shot. It was pretty much a death sentence for Survivor 48, the Vula tribe as well. Both those tribes, clearly the least complex. No one from that tribe was going to win. This season, that is definitely Kalo. Now, they haven't gone to tribal, and they haven't lost anybody from the tribe yet. So it gives them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt so far. But now that we're 2 episodes in, they clearly got the least in this episode by some margin. They clearly have the least fleshed out relationships. There are at least 3 or 4 people in that tribe that I just have no idea what they're doing. The only alliance that we've seen talked about in 2 episodes is Jonathan and Coach. Everything else either happened in 1 episode or wasn't shown at all. So, yeah, not looking so good for that tribe overall, which brings Chrissy down to second last. I also think I got to bring Tiffany down the third from last with that invisible rating, which is pretty bad. I still think I give Tiffany a little bit of benefit of the doubt. She doesn't have a negative tone, which is good. She, and also her being kind of an under the radar player kind of makes sense based on who she is and her, her position coming into the season. I'm not surprised that she's getting this edit. I do think if she wins, she would be getting a better edit than this, but it's just, at least it doesn't have the badness that Angelina and Chrissy do right now. Charlie is staying at 4. We get a little bit more insight into him this episode and his relationship to Chrissy, which kind of came out of nowhere, was not established in the premiere at all, which is not a good sign for either of them. But at least it's a little bit of strategy. And he gets 1 confessional, which is better than the 0 confessionals that the 3 people below him get. So, I mean, still not a great episode for Charlie, but better than the other 3. I think then I probably have to put Kamilla next. Yes, she gets 0 confessionals this episode, but she does get the Matt chat, which I think is pretty good, all things considered. I think a lot of people are really looking out for her off of the premiere. And they're yes, she got introduced late in the premiere, got very under the radar, but maybe she could really blow up in episode 2, right? With Kyle gone, how does she react to that? We're looking for some key aspects to her edit once that happens. We kind of get it we do hear from her talking about Kyle leaving, which was something people were looking out for. But it was only in a Matt chat. She got 0 confessionals the whole episode. She doesn't get any boost in screen time from it. In fact, she somehow gets less screen time from it. So it's enough to maybe not be quite the death sentence it could be, but it's definitely not the boost she needed and people were hoping and expecting from her. So definitely keeping her at number 17 for now. Who is next? I think I am going to keep D at 16. I just don't really see it for D. Yes, she gets 1 confessional here, but she's only got 1 confessional 2 episodes in a row, which is really not good, especially for a former winner. I just think if D wins, why would you not give her a bigger edit? This is a 2-time winner, right? That would be massive. And D, of all people, very big personality, very popular, right? She's not like a Sandra, kind of under the radar, not as well remembered winner, right? This is like a big time winner. I think if D wins again, I don't think this is the edit she's got. She's maybe not as ruled out as the people below her, but it's not enough to make me want to put her much higher. So yeah. Also, she's on Kahlo, which is bad right now. Everyone on Kahlo is having a bad time in the edit. Now I'm kind of in an uncertain place. Oh, goodness gracious. There are definitely some people that could get bumped down. I think I might leave Aubry here. She moves up. But can I move her up more than this? I don't know. I'm really on the fence about it because it was a pretty good episode, all things considered. But her premiere was really not good. I don't know. I think Aubry could continue to move up, but for now, I think moving her up too much further just seems like a stretch to me based on the edit. And anyone can think what they want to think. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave her there for now. But I think if she continues this trajectory, she could continue to move up. Potentially. I don't know. This is really tough. I think I'm going to bump Mike White down all the way to here. He doesn't get much in this episode. He's on Kahlo, which is not a good sign right now. I almost put him below Aubry, honestly. You know what? F it. Aubry, you're coming out of the zone. You're coming out. Mike's going down. I just don't think Kahlo is winning at this point. And it might change. But right now, I don't think Kahlo is winning. And I do think that a person from I think that this narrative of a Vatu tribe winner is important. I think it's going to go places. Do I think it's Aubry? Not yet. But it could be. And I just think that Mike's premiere was just mostly good because he's Mike White. And then this episode was so not that spectacular for him. I don't think he's getting like a winner edit. I just think he's getting a Mike White edit. So that's where I'm at with Mike right now. But could he move back up? Sure. Now it's between two people. It's between Aubry and Stephenie. Obviously, Stephenie gets 0 confessionals this episode, which I did say is kind of a death sentence, but she has a pretty good premiere to the point that I feel like I was honestly too negative on her in the premiere than maybe I should have been. I think that she's in less danger than Aubry. She has overall a more solid edit. Aubry's edit is very rocky. They're both helped out by the idea of the Vatu tribe winner, though. And I think the fact that Stephenie was so much higher in the premiere keeps her one step above Aubry for now. But she could move further down because of that 0 confessional edit, which is pretty bad. I'm not feeling great about any of these people right now. Then is going to be Joe. Joe somehow being this high. I mean, yes, this episode is very negative for Joe in a weird way. I mean, Survivor editors, it probably takes a lot for a Survivor editor to edit Joe Hunter in a negative light like this. So I don't think he's got much chance of winning, but I do think some content is better than no content. And we just saw a very negatively toned villainous winner last season. So it's not impossible. And I don't think this was as negative for Joe. It could have been, like I said, there was a little bit of potential shielding, or at least not showing the extent of what was going on. So it's enough to definitely keep Joe in the running more than anyone below him. But it's not looking great for Joe right now. Man, this is kind of tough. The rest of these people, there's kind of a collection of people here that are pretty tough to rate. I think I'll keep Q next, I guess. I don't really think Q is winning. He's gotten decent content, but I also think that Q is Q. He's one of the biggest and most beloved personalities of the new era and really the history of the show. Obviously, he's going to get a lot of goofy character content. I just don't really see a winner narrative for Q other than the idea of a Vatu tribe winner, and he is the voice of that, which is a plus for him. But I just kind of think his edit's not as good as any of these people above him, even though like the whole Vatu tribe in general thing is good. I don't know. Maybe he should be higher, but I don't know. I don't super see it, I guess. So he stays there for now. I'm keeping Cirie at 10. I just don't think Cirie is winning. I'm saying keeping. She definitely moves up quite a bit the last episode. But I don't think Cirie is winning. I think if Cirie wins, she gets a better edit than this. I mean, she is Cirie. I mean, obviously she's going to get a good edit. She's Cirie, for crying out loud. But I think if Cirie Fields finally wins Survivor, this is like, we're getting like, a Parvati size, just massive edit. Like she's getting so much content, and I don't think she's really getting that. Maybe there's some shielding involved there, but I also maybe a little bit strategically, I just think it's impossible for Cirie to win. Who's letting Cirie in the final 3? You have to be insane. So yeah, I just don't think Cirie is winning, but her edit doesn't quite have the negatives that some of these other people have right now. I'll bump Jonathan down to number 9. Well, he stays at number 9, I guess. I think Jonathan honestly has a pretty good edit on an individual basis. Definitely something to look out for. I think if Jonathan were on either of these other tribes, he might be in like the top 5 because his edit's pretty good. But it's the fact that he's on Kahlo that hurts him a little bit right now. I feel much better about one of the other tribes containing the winner than I do about Jonathan, or than I do about like Jonathan being on Kahlo. So if that stigma starts to leave me a little bit, he could move up. And if he, stays consistent, we definitely hear him talking about how he wants to play different. He's coming in a little bit more strategic this time. We learn who he's aligned with, and kind of what his strategies are. I mean, not a whole lot because they haven't gone to tribal. So he hasn't really had to strategize much, but it's at least being set up for when he eventually does go to tribal, which is a plus for him. But, yeah, I guess he stays at 9 for now. I think I put Emily at 8. Emily doesn't have a great edit, but there are definitely seeds there. I wish she got a little bit more screen time this episode. I think part of the problem is that she is like the voice of wanting Ozzy out, and Ozzy hasn't gone out. And so maybe she's shielded a little bit because she keeps not getting her way, but we still obviously know what she wants. I think her edit is fine. It's very passable. It's enough to make me think, it's definitely it's the second best edit for a woman. I think I'm pretty definitely, in my opinion, right now, on the season, but I don't know if it's enough to put her higher. She's clearly third fiddle in her alliance. But I do think it is the type of edit I could see her, coming around and being like this kind of, maybe a surprise winner, but kind of a little bit of a surprising winner. If there were to be a winner that like you didn't totally expect based on the edit, I definitely think it could be Emily, right? Like Emily's kind of that one that like people will be like, wow, I can't believe Emily won. That's awesome. Like that's kind of cool. So yeah, Emily and number 8. I think I'm going to leave Rizo at 7. Rizo gets bumped up quite a bit. For the reasoning of there being likely a Vatu tribe winner. Although I would say not likely. I'm not sold on a Vatu tribe winner, but I do think that narrative helps him. I think he's gotten some really good quotes. I think more so than a lot of his other people in his tribe. Rizzo's hurt a little bit for a couple reasons. A, not a ton of confessionals. B, some really negative content, some also very positive content, but just really all over the place edit. And C, I kind of just don't think Rizo can win. I don't know why people would vote for the one person that just played on 49. No one knows who he is. I just think I think it's such a hindrance, especially for Survivor 50, when all these people are like big fans. I think they all want like a legendary player to win. I think Rizo is set up for a very deep run in this game. But especially, he literally says, I think I could make a real deep run in this or something like that. He says that in the episode. So that's, clear foreboding to me that he's going to go far. Is he going to win? I find it hard to believe that he can win, but I do think his edit is getting better, I guess, but even though it's still got a lot of negatives to edit in it, Bristol's got such a fascinating edit right now. But the narrative is there for sure. Coach is going down to 6. Coach, it's kind of a similar edit to Rizo, just over the top, all over the place, very, very mixed tone. Who knows? But it's, again, very expected with Coach. He's clearly a big character. Yes, he is on Kahlo, but he's clearly the main person on Kahlo, right? By a long shot. Jonathan's not that far off, but Coach is clearly up there. Yes, he's got very villainous stuff, but there's also been a ton of people talk about how much they like Coach. And, there's been a lot of positives for Coach as well, as much as there's been negatives. And so I think that coach is here for a while. I really do. I do not love his winner chances, mostly because of the Kahlo stuff, being a very uncomplex tribe. But yeah, that's where he sits for now, I think. I think Ozzy goes at number 5. Mostly because I want to keep 2 Vatu in the top 4. But I do think this was a pretty good cool down episode for Ozzy after such a big premiere. I mean, it was a pretty circumstantial premiere, so it's not that surprising that he gets a lot less here, but it comes off, right? He's cool and collected here. We hear more about his established alliance with Cirie, which definitely feels important in some way. He's almost a target. He almost gets voted out, but it's not really taken all that seriously. There's definitely distractions from Ozzy almost getting voted out. So, yeah, good stuff going on for Ozzy. I definitely feel better about Ozzy in this episode. That last week I was very unsure what to make of Ozzy's edit. I think it's better right now, but I think that the people above him just have more positives to their edit, and Ozzy has more negatives, even though he's still got a lot of screen time, and I think he's definitely a very real contender. I'm going to leave Colby at 4. I mean, honestly, I think average the 2 episodes probably has a better edit than Colby. I think Colby benefits from this Vatu tribe winner narrative that, again, I've talked about. I feel like it's important. It just feels like a thing. I definitely think Colby is one of the most likely beneficiaries of that argument. He had a very, very strong premiere. I've seen people say that Colby is their number 1, which I don't think is invalid. So this episode is not great for Colby, but you could argue it's also a little bit of a cool down from a very strong premiere. He didn't have a whole lot going on. He does at least get a confessional, which is good. He could get bumped down. He's not getting the Stephenie drop like with the 0 confessionals, but he's on watch, I guess, Colby. Now we're gonna make a big change up here. I'm dropping Rick Devens down to number 3. Yeah, I just think I have to drop Devens down to 3 because I feel more strongly about the 2 people above him at this point. I think this was another really good episode for Rick. He gets a lot of content. I still feel very good about him. I still think he really, really could win. But I think the other 2, have better narratives right now. Rick is a little bit more of like kind of a character, I guess. I think that the feud with Joe was not the best look for Rick. I do think he comes out looking much better than Joe does. But, it's still not the best look it could be. I also don't want to bump Genevieve down to 3 because, again, I've talked about the Vatu thing. So someone's got to go at 3. And I just think Devens didn't quite impress me enough to stay at number 1 this week. Although I do still think he's very, very in it. I think this top 3 is still a pretty solid top 3 for me as of right now. Now, as much as I've talked about this Vatu tribe winner possibility, as much as I really would love to put a Vatu tribe member at number 1, which would be Genevieve if I were, I think I have to keep Genevieve at number 2. And I'll explain in a moment, but let me explain Genevieve first. Good episode for Genevieve. She gets the first confessional episode. Her talking about her relationship with Kyle. I think that was really good for her. Again, this Vatu tribe winner narrative feels like it's coming on. It feels important. I think that she's still got the best edit, the best relationships. She's got a lot going on. I'm just so impressed with Genevieve's edit, and I really appreciate her on this season. But I just think she didn't have a great episode. She had a good episode. And I think that Christian Hubicki had such a strong episode from an Edgic perspective that I just couldn't not put him number one as of right now. Just on a personal level, I gotta say, when I like from the very first moment, like when I started watching David versus Goliath, I immediately thought, this Christian guy is one of the best casting finds that Survivor casting has ever had. Just I cannot believe they got this guy on the show. He is electric, just absolutely phenomenal. He could have been in one episode and you would remember him forever. But, you know, he made it a pretty good ways, and now he's back on 50. He's just like one of those just like all-time great casting decisions. You know, he's up there with like Coach and Rupert maybe as like just some of the best. Like, wow, I can't believe they got this person on the show. Christian, I love and adore him, and he is proving himself tenfold in this season. I'm so happy for him. When things are all said and done, I think there's an argument to say that like Christian is one of the greats, one of the best people to ever be cast on Survivor. I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season goes, but I feel really good about him. And as for his winner chances, this episode was so good. He gets so much content again, the most confessions of the episode, second most to Ozzy overall. But Ozzy had, 3-hour premiere and a lot of circumstantial stuff going on with Ozzy in the premiere. Christian does have some circumstance here with like the finding the boomerang idol, right? That definitely was circumstantial to an extent. But he also gets one of the least uncircumstantial scenes possible, where there's a whole scene dedicated to Christian pooping his pants, which didn't need to be there, right? But they wanted to highlight Christian anyways. And I think especially, I think about, someone posted on the Edgic subreddit on Wednesday night. There was a post that said, the question that everybody's thinking, can a winner poop his pants? And the response was a resounding yes, for the most part. Maybe not resounding, but people were like, yeah, I think so. And I think that, like, although the scene is ridiculous and hilarious, I compare it to some of these previous winners. Something we do look out for winners is oftentimes early on in a season, a winner will get like little weird character scenes. D has a big toe, right? Kyle has a wart on his thumb that he thinks is a callus, right? These are the types of things we've seen. Could Christian pooping his pants be the D's toe of the season? If anything is, then that is, because it's so like uncircumstantial. It's so unneeded. We don't need to learn about D's toe. Who cares? We don't need to learn that Christian pooped his pants. It's not that important. But we did anyways because they wanted to give the funny character moment to a very specific person. And I think that that's a plus for Christian. It's a big plus. And he gets so much content. Talk about his strategy. He had such a strong premiere. He has such a positive tone edit. I just think if anyone is getting just this resoundingly great edit so far, it's definitely Christian. And maybe it's a red herring. Maybe it's a little bit too much. And I know I talked a lot of people into supporting Devens over Christian last week, which I still don't disagree with. I think these top three are all very close right now. But I just think if we want like the cleanest edit that has just been good, nonstop ever since the beginning of the season and through the end of this episode, it's Christian. Great edit for Christian so far. And I felt like I wanted to put him at number one at some point in the season. So I'm happy to have him there because I love Christian Hubicki. And I think Genevieve might have her time, especially with this Vatu narrative. So there we have it. The contender rankings from most to least likely to win the season based on the edit through episodes 1 and 2 so far added together. yeah, really, really good stuff going on right now in Survivor 50. So, I guess to wrap things up, I kind of forgot to do this last week. Predictions for the future of the season. It's kind of tough right now because we know that there is going to be a tribe swap next week. And this video is going pretty long, so I'm not going to talk about what the tribe swap dynamics are going to be, or like what the speculated layout of the tribe swap is as of right now. You can go find that for yourself if you want. But I think that, yeah, I mean, for the most part, I definitely think if I had to guess a next boot, I feel like Chrissy is being teed up for a boot very soon. Like that, whoop, it is teed. It's got, I think Chrissy, I mean, honestly, my bottom two here, Chrissy and Angelina, both feel like this week really went, they could get voted out, right? It's really teeing up those two people being voted out soon. It's one of those two. I mean, it's tough. I can't say exactly who I think it's going to be because we don't know for sure the tribe dynamics. Honestly, I think I might say Angelina. Although I think Chrissy has the more over the top. I don't know. Someone's got to go. So I'll guess Angelina, but I think it could be Chrissy. It's kind of a toss up there. And it could be someone else. I think it could be Aubry as well. Potentially. I do still think, like, you know, Ozzy's always an option based on what we have seen. I do think things could backfire on someone like one of these Zero Confessional people, like Q and Stephenie could be in trouble maybe in terms of the middle people. I think Joe's going to be all right, although this episode was negative for him. I think that, like, these top four people are pretty safe. Coach is safe. He's going to be here a while. I think Ozzy's probably going to be here a while, honestly. Rizo's going to be here a while. Emily, I don't know. She could go. Jonathan's probably going to be here a while. Cirie, who knows? Yeah. So that's basically all I got to say. I mean, you can figure it out from there. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. Maybe I'll make a short or a video talk about tribe swap dynamics sometime this week, so keep an eye out for that in case I do. But otherwise, that's all I have for this episode. Super fun. Thank you all for watching. Please, if you enjoyed, click that like button and click subscribe. It helps a lot. Hey, let's hit a goal. 1,000 subscribers by the end of season 50. Let's try to make it, okay? I just came up with that right now on the spot. Let's try to reach it. I would love to get there. I spend a lot of time thinking about these videos, and I put a lot of work into them. So I really would appreciate your support and sharing the video with friends or whatever it is. If you have any thoughts on anything I've said in this episode, or just other thoughts in general, leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear them, so long as you're not spoiling this season, because I don't want to hear that. But if you're not, please give me all your thoughts, because that's super fun for me to hear what people have to say, and it does affect my ratings sometimes. So, other than that, thank you all for watching. Had a great time, and I will see you all next week when we're talking about episode 3, Tribe Swap of Survivor 50. I have been North. Stay frosty, y'all.